Okay, let's continue. Sample number 1. So again, from table 12.2, we're given with alpha, which is 15 degrees, and theta is 10 degrees. So we can have the value of betas of A prime. So basically, from our given value for phi prime, which is 35 degrees, we don't have phi prime which is 35 degrees. So we only have 34 and 36. So again, we have to interpolate, and basically upon interpolation, the value for beta prime A is equal to 30.5 degrees. So our total force will act at a certain distance of 1/3 from the height of the retaining wall. Height of the retaining wall is 10, so 1/3 is 3.33. So our total force is acting at 3.33 feet from the bottom of the retaining wall, having an inclined angle of 30.5 degrees to the normal drawn from the back face of the wall. So this is our betas of A prime that we have computed through interpolation. So this is the inclined bottom of the wall, or inclined bottom of our retaining wall. So that is our beta. So from there, so if we're going to have our figure for that 12.9 figure, so this is our our figure for that particular example. So this is our total force per unit length of the wall. It is acting at 1/3 from the total height of the retaining wall, which is 10. So 1/3 of that is 3.33. So it is inclined at a certain angle of betas of prime A. So we have computed this as 30.5 through interpolation. So let's have here our second example. So for the retaining wall shown in 12.10, H is 7.5 meters, gamma is 18 kilonewton per cubic meters, our phi prime is 20 degrees, our C prime is 13.5 kilonewton per meter squared, and alpha is 10 degrees. So we're going to compute for Rankine active force, piece of A, per unit length of the wall, and the location of the resultant force after the occurrence of the tensile crack. So for this one, our figure is, we have this figure for example number 2. This is our example number 2. We have the our total force acting at a certain angle of alpha. It is 1/3 from the bottom of the retaining wall. Of course, we have the backfill, which is inclined at a certain angle of alpha. So for this example number 2, we simply have to compute for the location of the tensile crack. So based on the formula that was presented a while ago, so you simply have to substitute the given values for C prime, gamma, and phi prime. So simplify this one, it gives us 2.14 meters. And we have to, of course, our Z is 7.5, which is the total height of the retaining wall. Let us try to get the ratio between C prime and gamma times Z. So if we're going to get that ratio, that is 0.1, which is necessary so that we can have the value for case of A prime using table 12.4. Since we have the value for phi, which is 20 degrees, our alpha is 10 degrees, and we have 0.1. So you simply have to locate from our table 12.4. So we can have here our value for case of A. So 12.4, this one. So our phi prime is 20 degrees. Then our alpha is 0. Then our our alpha is 10. So you have here 20 degrees, you have alpha which is 10 degrees. So then our ratio between C prime over gamma Z is 0.1. So this is the value for our case of A, 0.377. So using that one, we can compute now our active pressure. Active pressure is equal to gamma times Z, case of A, cosine alpha. So from here, you can have the value for the parameters. You simply have to substitute, and it gives us 50.1 kilonewton per meter squared. So after the occurrence of the tensile crack, the pressure distribution on the wall will be shown in this figure. So this is now the pressure distribution after the tensile crack. So we're going to compute after the tensile crack, you're going to compute for our total force per unit length of the wall, which is piece of A. You simply have to get the area of this. So this is 1/2 times 50.1, which is our active force, or the active force or the active pressure, times the height, which is 7.5 minus the tensile crack, 2.14. This portion, this is the height of the tensile crack. From here, this is now the after the tensile crack. This is now after the tensile crack. So after the tensile crack, you can compute for our total force, which is, as mentioned a while ago, that would be equivalent to 1/2 times the value of this active force, which is 50.1, multiplied to the height, which is 7.5 times minus 2.14. So that is equivalent now to a total force is 134.3 kilonewton per meter. So therefore, we can compute now for the location of our total force, which is, that is equivalent to 1/3 of the 7.5 minus 2.4. So it gives us 1.79 meters. So that is for our example number 2. So that was the discussion. The discussion was pertaining to Rankine active earth pressure. Now we move on to Coulomb active earth pressure. So basically, for the Coulomb active pressure, we have here the difference between the two is that in the Rankine active earth pressure, they have an assumption that the wall is frictionless. So basically, we consider Rankine assume that the wall is frictionless. However, there is one person who is in the name, his name is Coulomb. He proposed a theory wherein he computed for the lateral earth pressure on the retaining wall with granular soil backfill, and based on his theory, he considers the friction of the wall. So that is the difference between the two. According to for Rankine assumption, frictionless wall. For Coulomb, he assumed for Coulomb, his theory now considers the friction of the wall, or wall friction. So if we're going to apply Coulomb's active earth pressure theory, we have to consider a retaining wall with its back face inclined at angle beta with the horizontal. So for this one, so that we can, to analyze Coulomb active pressure, we're going to have consider a retaining wall with an inclined back face having an angle of beta with respect to the horizontal. So of course, here the backfill is a granular soil, which makes an angle of alpha with the horizontal, and our angle of friction between the soil and the wall is denoted by small delta, that is the angle of wall friction. So this is an illustration for Coulomb active pressure. So we have here our backfill, which is a granular soil. This is the backfill, which is a granular soil which is inclined in position. It makes an angle alpha with the horizontal. This is the back face of the retaining wall. So the back face is inclined in position with an angle of beta with respect to the horizontal. And of course, we have the wall friction. That is the friction between the soil and the wall, denoted by the small letter, Greek letter delta. So basically, from there, of course, we have the failure surface of our backfill. So that, of course, in active pressure, as discussed in our first introduction, the retaining wall will move away from the soil mass. So for Coulomb, we assume that the failure surface in the soil mass would be a plane. And for example, you have here BC sub 1 and BC sub 2. And for us to determine the active force, we consider the soil failure wedge ABC sub 1. So this is the failure surface as assumed by Coulomb. This is the failure surface. You have your BC sub 1, you have your BC sub 2. Those are failure surfaces. So that we can analyze, compute for the active force, we consider the failure wedge, which is ABC sub 1. So based on that, we can have identify the forces that would be acting. We have the weight of the soil, you have the resultant force, you have the normal force, you have the total force, P sub A. So those are the forces that would be acting on our possible soil failure wedge. So basically, as identify the force that would be acting on the wedge, you have the weight of the wedge, W. So you have, that is through the presence of the soil, of course. You have the resultant, the normal, and the resisting shear force along the surface B sub 1. The force R will be inclined at an angle phi prime to the normal drawn to BC sub 1. And the active force per unit length of the wall, P sub A, will be inclined at an angle small delta to the normal drawn to the back face of the wall. So it is illustrated here. So this is the possible failure plane, failure surface of our backfill. So that's one. You have the forces, the weight of the wedge due to the presence of the soil, of course. You have your resultant force, you have the resisting force, you have the normal force, and you have the total active force. So those are the forces that you're going to consider in the analysis for the active force acting on the retaining wall. So for equilibrium purposes, a triangle can be drawn as shown in our figure. So you have here the force polygon. We try to, from this failure wedge, we isolate that one. So we draw the force polygon. So of course, you know what is a force polygon. You just have to identify the forces that are acting. So you have the weight, you have your resultant, and you have the total active force, and identify also the internal angle for this one. And you can compute for using that by according to Coulomb's active force, the maximum value for the total active force is equivalent to this equation, 1/2 K sub A gamma times h squared. And basically, our K sub A is our Coulomb active earth pressure coefficient, and this is equivalent to this equation. So you simply have to substitute the values for the angle as identified on our illustration or on the figure. And you have to be specific with the position of each angle on the figure. And of course, our h is the height of the wall.